proficient tracking abilities could be the key to unlocking aimbot-like control over your mouse. Just heads up, I don't know how to use any of the ADHD attention hacks, and I've packed together quite literally everything I've ever learned about tracking into a super dense video. But if you're willing to pay attention, you're definitely gonna learn a thing or two. In Valorant, tracking is often the first skill that's completely overlooked. The reasoning, however, is that because you need to stop moving in order to shoot accurately, there's no need to develop your ability to shoot at a moving target. Clearly, this couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, you and your competition are constantly moving, whether it's peaking angles, wide swinging, taking space, repositioning, flying through the air, even strafing in between shots. Tracking is beneficial in any situation you might find yourself in. I'm Zapper, the Immortal 3 Yapper, and without further ado, let's learn about tracking.
Revealing area. Bullseye. One enemy remaining.
Oh, just salvage that shit.
Tracking is the most badass aiming skill you could develop. I'm not sure if any of you Zoomers have ever heard of the Overwatch pro who turned into an IRL farmer, a legit farmer. I remember his tracking being so good that it looked like he was aim locking onto the target. Originally, I thought this wouldn't carry over to Valorant, but once bearing witness, I was forever convinced that tracking is the most overlooked aiming skill in Valorant. Today, in episode 2, I plan to cover everything tracking, from the fundamentals of good tracking while moving, how to quickly improve your tracking, and at the end, I'll even share with you guys my favorite scenarios in Kovaak's and Aimlab to help you improve your tracking. These scenarios are going to be tailored to improving each little detail about tracking that you need to master. That way you don't have to focus on too much while training. You can just put on the music, play the scenarios, and you'll get a good foundation for good tracking skill. Those of you still watching, I appreciate you. Part 1. Fundamentals of good tracking. It's widely agreed upon that good tracking is good reacting. The most common mistake new players make when tracking is trying to predict target movements. This is a big issue because predictions can be wrong. Let's say you predict the target is going to switch directions and then aim accordingly. If the target ends up not switching directions, then you miss out on tons of damage. Simply by assuming the target will continue its current trajectory forever, you can avoid this issue altogether. The only limitation here is going to be your reaction time. Oh, and there's one other thing. Your reactions matter too. It's not enough to simply react quickly to the target changing directions. What's more important is reacting accurately. Each incorrect adjustment you make is damage you're missing out on. In a fast-paced environment like Valorant, you could see how this would make a big difference between a kill and a death. So good tracking consists of quick and accurate reactions to the target direction changes, followed up with smooth tracing that accurately matches the target speed. You might be wondering what I'm talking about here. Don't worry, but matching the target speed is very important. This leads to the second most common mistake new players make when tracking, and that is shaky aim. Shaky aim can stem from lots of different things, but most commonly, it's an issue that arises when someone struggles to move their crosshair at the same speed as the target. Since you struggle to match the target speed, you will first of all fall behind the target, then you will accelerate your mouse to correct the mistake. This is natural, anyone would do this. Unfortunately, you are now moving your crosshair too quickly, and you aim past the target. This cycle then continues, maybe it gets faster as you practice more, but the point is, every target will be moving at a different speed, and it's your job to track the same speed the target is moving. By combining smooth and reactive tracking, we then minimize missed shots during target direction changes and maximize DPS. The fundamental I find the most important, that a lot of people are missing, is you got to focus on the target. If you're not looking at the target, it's going to be hard to read which direction they're moving. If they're changing directions, you're basically flying blind. A lot of people say it's obvious to look at the target, but you'd be surprised how many people will have their eyes wandering around the screen. They might not even notice looking off the target while they're aiming. Maybe they're looking at the crosshair, enemy peeks out, and their eyes flick off target at the last second. It's going to make aiming a lot harder. It's going to make tracking a lot harder. So you got to keep this in mind when training your tracking. You want it to be second nature that your eyes lock on the target.
131.
Part 2. Tracking while moving. In Valorant, you will often encounter situations in which both you and the target are moving at the same time. This changes things. When moving in the same direction, the target will appear to move slower or not at all. On the other hand, when moving in opposite directions, the target will appear to move almost twice as fast. In movement shooters, this is often called mirroring and anti-mirroring. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. It's generally agreed upon, though, that mirroring makes aiming easier, as you can imagine, and anti-mirroring makes aiming harder. It's a little different in Valorant because you do need to stop to shoot, even if it's just for a second, but the concept is the same. All you need to know is that target speed changes relative to your movement. Using this, we can track more consistently, we can mirror to make aiming easier, and we can anti-mirror in order to stay alive longer. During this process, it's important to master the transition between moving and stopping. Let's say you're mirroring and want to stop to shoot. As you stop, the target will appear to move faster, and you should be compensating for this. Masters of the skill will make the transition look seamless. Part 3. How to quickly improve your tracking. Okay, a lot of people don't know this, but focus increases neuroplasticity. It doesn't matter if you're old either. Focus is your friend. Neuroplasticity allows for you to learn, so in order to get the most out of your training, it's important to focus. That means don't have your mind wandering. Maybe don't be looking at your TikToks in between each session. But more importantly, achieving focus isn't necessarily easy, but it is simple. That's because mental focus follows your visual focus. I heard this on a podcast, so do not quote me, but it was by Andrew Huberman, and I believe he does research on these things. In other words, by looking at the game and only the game, you will become mentally focused on the game. Of course, you can still blink, close your eyes, you don't want to ruin your eyesight, but each time you look away, maybe to your phone for example, you are losing focus. Bouts of focus usually last around 90 minutes, so just keep in mind that when training longer than this, you're going to get diminishing returns. If you want to train longer in a day, it's often the most beneficial and the smartest to take breaks in between your sessions, train for 90 minutes, take a little break. I don't know exactly how long. If you really want to get it down to a T, definitely do your own research, but taking breaks in between to do whatever you want to do will help you gain that focus back next time you're going to train again. So if you have several 90-minute sessions throughout the day, that is going to be more effective than cramming in a fucking 360-minute session. You're going to be dead tired by the end, and you're only going to really get benefits from the first 90 minutes. Other things to note here is aerobic exercise, a good diet, and proper sleep will do wonders to increase your learning rate. These are essential things that your body needs, and without getting these, you'd be very surprised at how negatively your performance gets affected. You'd think it's very minimal, but it's not. It makes a world of a difference. So if you want to improve quickly, just be kind to your body and focus up during your Part 4, Kovaak's scenarios. Part 5, Aimlab scenarios.